Welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm your host, Dr. Mike, and this, of course, is my co-host, Dr. Crystal Gossert. Today, we're going to be talking about muscle recovery.
Great topic.
It is. It is.
It's my new obsession, by the way.
Yeah. What was that original? She has another obsession. What was that? There was this title we came up with for this that I don't know if I saw it or not, but it was something like, "Are you getting everything out of your workout?" Question mark. And it's like, well, if not, have you thought about your recovery?
Right.
Muscle recovery can play a major role in the success of your workouts. Who would have thought?
Yes, the nutrients that you consume, the foods that you eat.
For sure.
After your workout, and maybe how often you're working out. There's so many factors that people may not think about.
Right. So on today's show, let's just get on with this. Number one, we're going to talk about exercise recovery. Well, actually, we're going to first talk about exercise physiology, move that into this idea of recovery, and then we're going to talk about nutrients to help you recover. So, we have a great graphic. I think that's where we should start.
I think so too, Dr. Mike.
I think this is, so everybody look at what you got here. Do you want me just to run through real fast and then we can talk about
let's just
to orient people?
Oh.
So basically you got Dr. Crystal there working out, right? She's doing some curls, bicep curls. The muscle you can see before, and then the muscle after that workout. And then what you see below the exercise and the rest is really what's happening at that muscle level, right?
Yes.
That when you begin to work out, and we're going to get into the details of this.
The untrained muscle.
The untrained muscle, you start working it out. Believe it or not, damage does happen. But that damage is important, but it eventually leads to repair, and then that ultimately is what gives you muscle growth.
Yes, it repairs stronger.
Yes, and that's what you want. That's a good thing. So the damage that when you look at that graph, it's a good thing.
Yeah, those little micro tears is what they call it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the damage process first.
Yeah.
Because I think when people see that, they're like, wait, damage? Maybe I shouldn't work out. That doesn't sound good. Right? Because we teach them all the stuff we talk about, avoid damage. But now here you are exercising, creating damage, and it's a good thing. Help us understand that.
Yes, well, it's the stress that you're putting on that muscle. When you're using that muscle, yes, it's stressing out that tissue, and then there are tears that can occur as you're stressing that tissue. And those tears we're not talking about major tears, and that's why I said the micro tears.
Yeah.
These are tears that are easily repaired.
Right.
As we noticed on that image, there were little cells called satellite cells.
Can you put that up again, Hannah? Let's take a look at that.
And these are stem cells. So yes, you can see it kind of in the middle. It might be a little small, but they're the yellow-looking
cells.
Cells. Those are specialized stem cells that the muscles, they kind of sit right there on the muscles.
And they're ready to go.
They are primed and ready to
become new muscle cells.
Exactly.
Right?
So the muscle is designed to manage
the
micro tears.
I know you and I were having a conversation about the uniqueness of those satellite cells, right? So you start working out, you get some micro tears, and I'm glad we're saying micro, right? I think when people hear tears, like my muscles tear. No, it's little micro tears within the fiber, real small. Those satellite cells, those muscle stem cells, when the fact that they're there and ready to go, that's pretty unique to skeletal muscle.
Right. So it's a fascinating anatomy when you think of it that way.
Cool.
But it makes perfect sense when you think about what's happening with your muscle. And so first things first, you have to work them. But that leads into the idea that you need to give the body the nutrients, support that body's recovery process.
Right.
And that's the missing link often when people engage in exercise. We're going into the new year.
And people don't think about recovery. Well, they do, usually when they're really sore and they don't want to go to the gym again. I need to work on this. But the recovery phase can actually be very important to the overall growth of the muscle and building. And by the way, how many times have you and I talk to our audience about the importance of maintaining healthy muscle?
All the time.
Yeah, you want to keep muscle mass. It's anti-aging.
Yes. And muscle is a place where if you are dealing with elevated blood sugar, focus on muscle.
Yep. You're gonna burn some more of that sugar.
You will burn more of the sugar because that's a place for that excess sugar to go.
Yeah.
So the more muscle you have, the better your body is able to get the sugar out of the bloodstream and then put it in its storage unit.
So let's talk a little bit more about the damage thing going on here. So we have the micro tears. So we're doing our biceps.
Yeah.
Right. So we start. The micro tears are going to happen. Those satellite cells are going to come in. The muscle is going to grow from that process. But as I'm doing my curls, right, at some point it gets harder, and it gets harder, and it starts to burn, and now I don't like it, and now I'm mad that I'm there, and I'm in pain. What's going on there?
Oh my goodness, this sounds like trauma. That is lactic acid.
Lactic acid, right?
Yes. Yeah. Whenever you are doing your bicep curls, as Dr. Mike mentioned, that when those muscles are constricted, the blood, there's no blood flow getting in there. So that is why we call that resistance training exercise anaerobic exercise, which is different than aerobic, where now
the oxygen's flowing fine all the time.
Oxygen's flowing fine. At this point, whenever you know those muscles and you're performing that movement, no oxygen's getting in there. So then lactic acid is formed from the glucose that's present in that muscle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple idea, right? You're working a muscle. That muscle needs energy. Most of that's going to be supplied by glucose, right? But because of that anaerobic environment, because of that contraction of that muscle, glucose doesn't do what it normally does. It does a little alternate pathway, right? And that's the lactic acid buildup.
That is.
And that's that burn and stuff that you're going to feel.
Right. And so that's why you want to break your exercise into sets usually. So set 1 may be 8 to 12 bicep curls. By that 12th bicep curl, and this is where we're going to talk about some controversy here. I feel like by that 12th bicep curl, you should feel the burn.
Well, okay, let me ask you. Okay, let's just go there. Do you
the big debate?
It's not a big. I mean, it's because I'm more. I'm not sure. So, is it beneficial? Like, do we have? Because we're going to go to the research, right? That's what we do, right?
We have to.
We have to go there. Is there benefit to working through all that pain and really making it rough and sore, or is it better you start? I do think you got to work out. You start feeling a little bit. Is it better to rest at that point?
You're putting my back against the wall, Dr. Mike. So the research shows that it is unclear if working that muscle to failure, if that's what we call it, it is unclear if that is necessary. I have my opinion because mentally I feel like I need to work my muscle until I'm like, okay, good. Yeah. I can put the weight down, take a break, and then come back to it.
That totally is your personality. I've known Dr. Crystal for many, many, many years, and that you're the driver. It makes perfect sense that you're going to almost pass out, like that. And I'm on the opposite end of it.
Right. So I guess what we're saying here is, if you are on the opposite end, and let's say you're doing lighter weight, higher reps, don't necessarily, I guess you don't have to wait for that burn. Yeah. Right? So if you're at rep 20, it's okay.
It's probably okay to go ahead and stop. And most people will feel a little bit. And I think that's fine. And we talked too about whether you work this a muscle to fatigue. Yes. It also depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish, as well as if you are a trained athlete. Yeah. Right. So if you're just starting out, not really necessary, but if you are a trained athlete
and you want to build,
yes, and you're really focusing in on those gains and building strength as well as size, then maybe you need to go heavier on the weight, shorter, less reps.
Okay.
So
So I'm in the gym
okay.
doing my curls, getting that lactic acid, yeah, getting those micro tears, satellite cells becoming new, yeah, it's good damage, right? I'm done, I leave, I wake up the next morning, and I can't pick up my cup of coffee, my cup of coffee because my arms are so sore. And like I've had that, right? And you're like shaking. You're like, what is it?
The shake.
But that's different now.
Yes, we're talking about something now. That's the micro tears that we talked about. That's what you are feeling. Right. That is the damage that is a result of you working that muscle tissue. That is the inflammation.
Right. And that's
the
key thing.
A little bit of oxidative stress.
That's so the driver in the pain when you're working is the lactic acid. The driver here, which is that post-workout pain, what do they call it? Delayed
muscle onset soreness. I think I said that right.
I think you said that right. That's inflammation now ultimately.
Right.
That's some oxidative stress. That's the micro tears. That's the point where those satellite cells are starting to get in there. They're starting to make new muscle. So that is such an important process to ultimately getting the growth that you want.
Now, let me clarify something, Dr. Mike, that you mentioned. Dr. Mike mentioned he can't pick up his cup of coffee. So you need to kind of think about, is this an injury or is
exactly
normal delayed onset muscle soreness? And there's a little bit of a difference.
I'm glad you brought that up because we don't want people to think that, you know, if you can't pick up your cup of coffee the next day that you didn't do a good job, right? I think that idea of a good damage versus injury, I think there's a separation here when we're talking about muscle, right?
Right.
Good damage versus injury is important. And here's what if that continues for several days, that's probably injury, rest, and you got to rethink your training workout, right?
I think so too. So yes, 48, 72 hours, you should be able to kind of, that soreness should be quite low, where you can go back and work that
say that again.
muscle. 48, no longer than about 72 hours.
Yeah, and it should progressively get better, right? So that morning it was tough. That next morning I can pick up the cup of coffee just
should
fine.
be able to pick up.
But I still feel a little bit.
Yes, you knew that. You know, it's the reminder that you were active.
Yeah.
You know, that gentle reminder versus I still can't move my arm.
Now, I don't know if we were going to talk about this now or later, but I'm just going to talk about it now.
Let's go for it.
It's a live show. What are you going to do? So some of that soreness, that delayed onset soreness, is good. It's part of that damage, and we've already talked about how that's important to the growth. So if I'm feeling that, should I take anti-inflammatories?
Another controversial topic here. No.
Sometimes you just got to give the answer, right?
Right.
No.
No, you should, my opinion, you should avoid anti-inflammatory nutrients because the inflammation, that's a normal healing process.
Right.
And often we've been programmed, right? Chronic inflammation.
Knock it out.
Knock it out. Yeah. You don't want inflammation. But inflammation is a good thing, especially if you've been working out.
Good. No, I agree with you. I think that's the right answer. Here's if it is so bad and it's not injury, we're not talking about that. But if it really is tough and you got to do something, I would say some of we have a nutrient we're going to bring up and talk about. That would be better than some of the more powerful over-the-counter anti-inflammatories, right? Because those knock out inflammation really good.
They do, and now you're slowing down all of the efforts that you put into the workout.
And so this goes back to what that original title of the show was. Are you getting everything you want out of your workouts? And if you're not, what are you doing during recovery?
Right.
Are you taking a bunch of anti-inflammatories? And we don't blame you. That's what, it makes sense. But does it?
Right.
Probably not. Woo! That's some good stuff.
That's deep, Dr. Mike.
That's some good stuff. All right, so now let's go back, throw that graphic back up. So now we spent all the time talking about that damage side. So I'm at the bottom of the screen. I'm at where it says damage. Now we're moving on into repair. We talked that, now you got those cells, satellite cells, starting to do their job. Inflammation's involved, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk a little bit, about this repair phase. It's critical to ultimate muscle growth,
yes.
right? At the end of the day, some people ask, is muscle soreness good? Yes.
Yes.
Because you're going now into that repair process, so that is good. And again, I'm going to ask you this again. I know you already said it, but I already forget. What is your time frame again for recovery?
About 48 hours. 48 hours, 72. So what personally, and just this is what the research shows as well, if you are working out, and let's say today is leg day, you should be able to do legs again by Saturday, for sure.
Yeah.
If you can't walk by Saturday,
that might be injury.
That might be an injury.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's why, you talk about a lot of the guys and girls that go to the gym, they talk about it's leg day today, it's shoulder day today, is it? Because they're spacing that out.
Right. Because time working that particular muscle group, and then they're focusing in on allowing that recovery to take place.
Right.
Because you have to recover. You want that muscle stronger, so then the next time you go in to do leg day, that muscle's stronger. You should be able to go a little bit heavier, or
we're gonna grow it a little bit more.
Right, you're growing it a little bit more, and you're getting stronger and stronger with every session. But if you're not taking a break, giving it time,
interfering with that recovery phase could be a reason why you're not getting the performance or the results that you want at the end of the day. All right, let's get into the nutrients now. So again, what we're going to talk about with nutrients is not nutrients like anti-inflammatories. We're talking about nutrients that are actually healthy for muscle.
Yes.
At the end of the day. So before we get that, just remember, if you let the inflammation ride, let some of that soreness happen. If you really need something, we got a nutrient coming up. We would prefer you do the natural thing than the stronger over-the-counters, right? That's number one. And number two, your stuff, lifestyle stuff.
Yes. What are you eating? The question, how often, or what's the time frame? How soon should you eat? Should you eat a good carb protein meal before or after? And we talk about a lot of that in our exercise protocol at Life Extension. You do want to make sure you have carb reserves available before you work out. And you also want to make sure you're getting lots of protein.
Yeah. And let's go, there you go. That was a nice lead way.
Protein.
Right, protein. So the first nutrient we want to talk about this is it's so common. Everybody knows about it, and it's whey protein.
Yes.
And the reason we're talking about whey, and we'll get into the details, is whey is really good for helping the muscle in that recovery phase.
Yes, well, whey provides your essential amino acids. These are the amino acids that you need to get from your diet, but whey also provides branched chain amino acids.
There it is. Ding, 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 ding.
We love our branched chain amino acid.
Right.
One in particular, Dr. Mike, leucine.
That's the key one.
Leucine is the trigger for muscle synthesis.
Yeah.
I kind of think of it as it starts the engine, and then the rest of the amino acids are kind of like the fuel to keep the car going.
I love that. I love that. So whey is great in recovery. Make sure it has that. Well, if it's whey, it has the leucine. It does. Right. Whey has all your stuff.
Yep.
And leucine is that key one. Now, if you are on a good workout plan, because we talk about how much protein people should get and stuff, obviously my requirement is going to change a little bit if I'm working out. Do you have some numbers for us?
Yes. So 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight for minimum physical exercise, 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight for moderate exercise, and then upwards of 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight for intense exercise.
Yeah, that's good.
So there is it all depends on what you're doing. And so I'll give you some examples. If you are doing a a HIIT class. That's interval training.
Oh, HIIT. I'm like HIIT.
High intensity
You're hitting
interval training, or even a circuit. You want to go up to the 1.6. Now,
Okay.
if you're going for a walk, you know, maybe a 3-mile walk around the park, or maybe on a treadmill or an elliptical, that's more moderate.
So that would be the 1.3,
That would
maybe.
be the 1.3.
Okay. Yeah.
Gardening, maybe the 1.
1.3.
The
Golf.
one, the golf. Oh,
Golf,
golf.
1.3 probably.
I would say 1.3 golf.
Yeah, no,
You're
it's-
a golfer, you know
No,
that.
I do
it's-
enjoy it. It could be a lot of, especially if you're walking the whole time too, not in the cart, right?
Oh.
Plus you're moving a lot of muscles and,
Right,
and all
right.
that kind of stuff. So I like that, but I want to go back to the picture again.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a great picture. And let's go look at those satellite cells, right?
Yes.
Those are those stem cells that are ready to become muscle cells. They're ready to fight and get in there. There was a study that actually looked at these satellite cells with branched chain amino acids, right?
Yes, supplementation with whey protein after a high intensity exercise session increased those muscle stem cells or satellite cells as part of a regeneration process 24 to 48 hours post-exercise,
Right.
compared to placebo.
Now, you said something important too, and then we're going to move on to the next nutrient. A lot of people are looking for plant-based
Yeah.
proteins and stuff, and that's fine, except leucine may not be as high in concentration in those plant-based ones, right?
That is true. So if you are consuming a plant-based diet, number one, you probably need a plant-based protein supplement. Very challenging to get the protein that you need. The sheer amount of food that you have to eat to get the protein,
it's a lot. Yeah,
you know,
it's
at
a lot.
least 30 grams for that meal in order to jumpstart that protein synthesis. I personally can't even eat that much food.
That's a lot of
in one
greens and
setting.
beans.
So you probably need a plant-based supplement. Make sure the plant-based supplement has added branched chain amino acids.
Good, good. Now the second one. Now a lot of people may already be wondering, why are we talking about whey before creatine?
Yeah.
Because creatine. Now that's another one. It's number 2 on our list. Creatine is the most studied protein when it comes to muscle strength. But creatine, it turns out, is better when you're exercising. Right?
Yes, yes. And so you often find when you're working out, sometimes you have kind of like a little workout drink or a pre-workout drink.
That could be creatine.
That's your creatine.
Yeah.
It's helping your body also to make more of that ATP that's needed.
And so since we're talking more about the damage to the repair process and growth, we're putting the branched chain amino acids first. We're putting leucine first. We're putting whey first. That's your recovery protein.
Yes.
All right, let's go on to one. Now, this one may surprise people, glutamine.
Well, I guess I'm a
What is
nutritionist,
this?
so I always think about glutamine as adding in some additional glutamine, but many people forget about glutamine. They focus on the branched chain amino acids, which are the leucine, the isoleucine, the valine, but glutamine is a protein that helps with the muscle recovery as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of studies have shown it actually is helping those satellite cells. Again, focusing on those cells that are going to become your new muscle cells, that's a good thing. That's the branched chain amino acids, and now glutamine, there's some research supporting that as well.
Yes.
So that's a good one. I want to move on here. Okay, so if at the end of the day, if you just got to take something for the pain, it's just a little too much.
Yeah.
We're not saying it's injury. We really, both Dr. Crystal and I believe you should just try to work through that pain. Let that inflammation go and do its thing, right? But there is one nutrient that's pretty good here. Probably won't knock out all that inflammation, but it'll give you some relief. Tart cherry.
Tart cherry is nice. It's been the subject of muscle recovery. Lots of studies looking at tart cherry for that reason. We do know tart cherry can help with uric acid.
Yeah.
And that part of, I would say, the musculoskeletal system.
Yeah.
But it can also help the muscles. In a placebo-controlled study, men who received tart cherry extract for 8 days had less delayed onset muscle soreness, less inflammation, and more rapid performance recovery after a repeat sprint activity.
Yeah. Now that sounds great, right? And they were able to do that repeat sprint thing. But when you really think about it over time, again, try your best to work through. Have some tart cherry on your shelf. Don't think, oh, I just worked out, let me take my tart cherry. Don't think of it that way. Just think of it as, oh, this is day 2. That bicep is still pretty sore. Okay, maybe I'll do a couple tart cherries.
Such a good point, Dr. Mike, because I know people, lots of people.
They carry in their gym bag.
That's it. Yeah. Like, okay, I worked out, now my tart cherry.
Yeah. No, you want some of that pain. Pain can be good. It's a signal. There's something going on. In this case, you're building muscle.
Yeah.
Wow, that was good. This is a good show.
Those are the secrets that no one tells you about. Secrets to recovery.
And again, just to quickly summarize, at the end of the day, recovery is just as important as your workout. The recovery process plays a role in building muscle, which is what a lot of people are trying to do.
Yes.
So we have a nice protocol, right?
We do. It's at lifeextension.com/recovery.
There you go. Go check it out. Our protocols, woo, there's a lot of information in there. Go check them out. You can go deeper into the research, lifeextension.com/recovery. Dr. Crystal, thank you so much. This is great. Hey, thanks for watching us. Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Like, share, comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say about some of these topics. Maybe you have a topic you'd like us to cover.
Yes.
Go ahead and let us know and write in the comments. And then click that interested button. That way, when we go live next, you get pinged. Or is it dinged? Or is it called? I don't know, Robson. Whatever that may be.
You get a notification.
You get a notification that we're going live. I'm Dr. Mike. Thanks for watching.